Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Geeta, Assistant Professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology. Today, let us see about the basic concepts of modulation. This presentation will be covering the basic terminologies used in modulation under the topic Introduction, the need for modulation, the classification of modulation techniques, and about continuous wave modulation. In any communication system, to exchange information, a signal carrying message is transmitted over the distance. Three signals play an important role in the process of modulation. So they are the message signal, the carrier signal, and the modulated signal. The message signal, it contains the information. So it is also called as the modulating signal or the baseband signal. Usually the message signal, it's a low frequency signal and it is capable of traveling short distance. Next comes the carrier signal. So this signal is used to carry the message signal. Usually it is a high frequency signal and it doesn't contain any information on its own. So it is an empty signal and it has the capacity to travel long distance. Next comes the modulated signal. So it is the signal obtained by combining the modulating signal and the carrier signal. The parameters of the carrier are changed in such a way that it will hold the information of the message signal. We'll see about modulation. Modulation is the process of changing the parameters of a carrier signal in accordance to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. The parameters of a signal are amplitude, frequency, and phase. Amplitude, it is the maximum positive and the negative value reached. The frequency is the number of cycles per second, and phase, it is the offset of a wave from a given point. Next, let us see about the need for modulation. We usually go for modulation for four main reasons. The first one is the reduction in antenna height. Next comes the increase in the range of communication. Next, to avoid mixing of signals. And lastly, the multiplexing of signals. Reduction in antenna height. We know that the antenna height is given by the expression lambda by 2, where lambda is the wavelength. The relation between the wavelength, velocity and the frequency is given by lambda equal to c by f, and antenna height can be calculated as lambda by 2 equal to c by 2f. For a signal of frequency 5 kHz, the antenna height can be calculated as lambda by 2 equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8, which is the velocity of light, divided by 2 into 5 into 10 to the power 3. So which is 30,000 meters, approximately 30 kilometers. If we increase the frequency of the signal by the process of modulation, for example, if f is equal to 10 megahertz, we can see the antenna height is calculated as 3 into 10 to the power 8 divided by 2 into 10 into 10 to the power 6, which is equal to 15 meters. So an antenna which is of 30 kilometers height can be reduced to antenna of 15 meters high if we use modulation. Okay. So this is one main reason why we go for modulation. Next is increase in the range of communication. So low frequency radio waves do not travel very far through the atmosphere because they are absorbed quickly. So that is the reason the low frequency waves are capable of traveling only short distances. When we increase the frequency of the signal with the help of modulation, they are capable of traveling or passing through the atmosphere entirely, and then they reach the ground covering long distances. So this is another advantage of going for modulation. Next comes multiplexing of signals. For example, if we are using voice signals for transmitting, all the voice frequencies will be lying within the frequency 0 till 4 kilohertz. Now, when all the voice signals are to be sent through the same channel, and when they are occupying the same frequency ranges, they will all get mixed up, and it is not possible to send all the signals in a single channel. So what we do, we introduce the concept of multiplexing, whereby we translate each audio signal into a different frequency with the help of the carrier signal. That is, in this diagram you can see that the carrier F1, carrier F2 and carrier F3 are used to translate the audio signals to different frequencies. So all these three different frequency ranges are combined and sent through a common channel, and at the destination the reverse of this process is done, and the signals are demultiplexed and separated by the filter. So next advantage of modulation is avoiding mixing of signals. So as I told you before, the voice signals, audio signals, they may occupy the same frequency range. To avoid mixing of those signals, we translate it to different frequency ranges. You can see that signal 1, signal 2 and signal 3, they are occupying the frequency range, same frequency range. Signal 1 is modulated with a carrier of frequency 300 kilohertz, and it is translated to a different frequency range where it is sent through channel 3. The second signal is modulated with the help of the carrier of 200 kilohertz frequency, and it is transmitted through the channel 2. And the third signal is modulated with the help of a carrier of 1000 kilohertz, and it is transmitted through channel 1. So thereby here we are able to send all the signals separately, though the basic baseband signal occupying the same frequency range. Now let us see the classification of modulation techniques. Modulation is divided into analog modulation and digital modulation depending upon the nature of the message signal. If the message signal is analog in nature, it comes under the category of analog modulation, and if the message signal is digital in nature, it comes under the category of digital modulation. Analog modulation is again divided into continuous wave modulation and pulse modulation. If the carrier signal is also analog in nature, then it comes into the category of continuous wave modulation. If the carrier wave is digital in nature, it comes into the category of pulse modulation. So in continuous wave modulation, both the message as well as the carrier are analog in nature, whereas in pulse modulation, the message is analog in nature, whereas the carrier is digital in nature. The continuous wave modulation is again divided into amplitude modulation and angle modulation. As I told you before, the characteristics of the carrier wave is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal in the process of modulation. If the amplitude of the carrier signal is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal, it comes under the category of amplitude modulation. If the parameter in the time axis, that is either frequency or the phase of the carrier, is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal, then it comes under the category of angle modulation, which is again divided into frequency modulation and phase modulation. If the frequency of the carrier is changed, it comes under the category of frequency modulation, and if the phase of the carrier wave is changed, it comes under the category of phase modulation. Pulse modulation is divided into pulse amplitude modulation and pulse time modulation. In pulse amplitude modulation, the carrier, which is digital in nature, its amplitude, the amplitude of the pulses are changed according to the amplitude of the message signal. In pulse time modulation, both the position of the pulse and the time duration of the pulse is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal. If the position of the pulse is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal, it is called as pulse position modulation. If the width or the duration of the pulse is changed according to the amplitude of the message signal, it is called as pulse width modulation. Now coming to digital modulation. Digital modulation is classified into pulse digital modulation, amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, and phase shift keying. In amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, and pulse shift keying, the message signal is digital in nature and the carrier signal is analog in nature. If the amplitude of the carrier signal is changed according to the digital pulses, then it is called as amplitude shift keying. If the frequency and or the phase is changed according to the amplitude of the message pulses, then it is called as frequency shift keying or phase shift keying. Now comes the pulse digital modulation, where the message itself is digital in nature. So we have 4 categories under pulse digital modulation. So they are pulse code modulation, PCM, next adaptive delta modulation, ADM, next delta modulation, DM, and differential pulse code modulation, DPCM. We'll see about the continuous wave modulation. So continuous wave modulation is a technique where the message signal as well as the carrier signal both are analog in nature. We have 3 categories under this. They are the amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. So the amplitude modulation is used in All India Radio, AM radio, also in VHF aircraft radio communication. Frequency modulation is used in FM radios. So usually the quality of the music signals and the audio signals are very clear and high in FM modulation, because addition of noise can be easily removed in frequency modulation. Next, in phase modulation, along with the digital modulation techniques, phase modulation is used in Wi-Fi, in satellites, etc., in global system for mobile and all. So we'll see about each modulation technique one by one. Amplitude modulation. So amplitude modulation technique is a process in which the amplitude of the carrier wave is varied in proportion to the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal. You can see the message signal, which is a low frequency signal, and its amplitude is varied. That is, the amplitude is the content or the information content. Next comes the carrier signal, which is a high frequency signal. As I told you before, it is an empty signal. It does not contain any information on its own. For any signal, the 3 important parameters are amplitude, frequency, and phase. In amplitude modulation, the amplitude of the carrier wave is varied according to the amplitude of the message signal. So we get the resultant amplitude modulated wave at the bottom figure, where you can see that the envelope of the waveform has a shape as that of the message signal, whereas inside the waveform we are having the frequency equal to that of the carrier signal. So that is, the message signal is made to sit upon the carrier signal, and now the modulated signal will be having a frequency of the carrier signal but an amplitude of the message signal. Next is frequency modulation. So it's a modulation technique in which the frequency of the carrier wave is varied in proportion to the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal. You can see that the carrier signal's frequency is varied according to the amplitude of the message signal. So whenever the amplitude is maximum, the frequency is increased to a value del f, and whenever the amplitude is minimum, the frequency of the carrier signal is decreased by a value del f. So this del f is called the frequency deviation. So the frequency modulated wave will be having a varying frequency, right, starting from fc plus del f to fc minus del f. So when the message signal is having a zero amplitude, the frequency modulated wave will be having a frequency equal to that of the carrier wave. So next comes the phase modulation. So in phase modulation, the carrier's phase is varied in proportion to the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal. As I told you before, phase is the offset of a wave from a given point. That is, the starting point of the waveform will differ depending upon the amplitude of the message signal. When the amplitude is maximum, we will be having a maximum phase deviation, and when the amplitude is minimum, we will be having a minimum phase deviation. And that's all about the basic concepts of modulation techniques. Thank you all.